Hi everyone, my name is Megan Duhame and I am a Regional Education Manager with Schwarzkopf Professional, and I'm so happy that you could join me today to talk about our BLONDME range and all of the products in the portfolio. So to start off, a little bit about BLONDME is it's an entire portfolio based on everything you need to do any sort of blonding service. Now, we like to think of BLONDME as our line that we want to use to create a multitude of blondes, not just our high level lift blondes. And we'll talk about that as we work through the portfolio as well. But along with creating these beautiful blonde looks, we also want to make sure that we're keeping in mind the hair integrity and taking care of that as well. So let's talk a little bit about the BLONDME advanced bonding system. So BLONDME has a lock and key bonding system. So in step one of the bonding, that is in all of our color, all of our lighteners, and all of our lifting creams within the BLONDME portfolio. And that's going to basically protect all of the bonds, during the lifting process. Now, when we talk about step two, that starts to be introduced within our care products, and that's going to create new bonds. So that's going to replace any bonds that may be missing within the hair and really repair from a creation standpoint. Now let's move on to step three. How do we maintain those bonds? So we maintain all of those bonds that we protected, now created, and now we want to maintain them with our care products as well. So this is a great time to talk to your clients or use on yourself or in your salon as maintenance and maintaining those bonds and keeping that in mind. So let's talk a little bit more in depth about the bonding. So in the bond protection system, like I said in step one, this is a great visual here of how the bonds are protected. They're used succinic acid, and it basically helps protect all those bonds and creates a little bit of a protection or a barrier around them, and hopefully keeping them and protecting them during the lifting process even more. This is great, especially with all the trends that we're seeing in terms of blonding and lightening, that we're really lifting hair and we're maybe even lifting it up to 9 levels, and we want to make sure that we're keeping those bonds intact. Now, if we talk about step two, this is where things get really exciting, is we actually have our tri-bond technology. And this is going to give us three-dimensional bonding repair. So not only are we getting two-dimensional bond building where we're connecting point A to point B, we're actually getting another third dimension of bond building. So this is really just going to support the inner structure of the hair itself. Now, I've been speaking a lot about the inner structure of the hair and bonding, but within the BLONDME Care and bonding system, it actually works on the inner structure and the outer structure. So let's talk about that next. Now, it's really awesome that we're addressing the inner structure of the hair, but with our blondes and our clients and blonde hair, we want to make sure that we're keeping the hair integrity in mind. But oftentimes we also need to keep in mind the cuticle layer, and we want to make sure that we're taking care of that as well. And we want blonde hair to be soft and shiny and healthy looking as well. So this is where the advanced bonding system also addresses that. So you're not only getting inner and outer care within the BLONDME range. Let's talk about the developers. So before we get into the products, BLONDME has its own set of dedicated developers that you'll use with all of the color products within the BLONDME range. Now you'll see here on the screen, take a minute to pause if you need it. We actually have a 2% or 7 volume as our lowest developer. This isn't really important for our toners that we'll talk about later, but also with our BLONDME Premium Bond Enforcing 9+ Lightener. Sometimes you don't really need a high developer, so this might be a good go-to for you. We also have our 6% or 20 volume, our 9% or 30 volume, and our 12% or 40 volume. And I'll get into when to use what as we move through the line. So let's talk about one of our most loved and cherished lighteners. Not to discredit any of our other lighteners, but Our BLONDME Bond Enforcing Premium 9 Plus Lightener is a superstar lightener. You can get up to 9 levels of lift with this, and you can use it for a variety of techniques. It can be used on or off the scalp. However, if you're using it on the scalp, we recommend using our 2% 7 volume or our 6% 20 volume on scalp only. When you're using it off scalp, we recommend using our up to our 9% or 30 volume. So you can use 7, 20, or 30 volume off scalp. We recommend no heat with any of our lighteners. They don't need it. And generally, this one, the power of the lightener is going to be in the can. So really, you can use a lower volume developer and still get a really beautiful lift out of it, even up to 9 levels with a low volume. This has a flexible mixing ratio, so it can be mixed 1 scoop of powder to 1.5 of your developer, or even up to 1 scoop of powder to 2.5 of your developer. So this is really great, especially if you're the artist or the hairstylist that likes to mix your lightener to consistency depending on which technique you're doing. It also has our bonding technology in it, like I spoke about earlier, and an anti-yellow technology as well. The processing time for this can be up to 45 minutes, but with all lighteners, we want to make sure that we're visually checking them to see the level of lift that we're getting out of it. Let's move on to our next lightener. Our next lightener is our Bond Enforcing Premium Clay Lightener 7 Plus. So when we think about a clay lightener, we think usually about an open air technique, and this is no exception to that. It's really meant for more free form, open air, maybe hair painting or balayage techniques. And being a clay, it has a soft to solid consistency. So it will kind of solidify on the outside, but on the inside of that more solid shell, the product will still be active and working. However, one of the benefits of it being a little bit more solid on the outside is you can use it very open air or in a hair painting or balayage situation and not worry about it transferring as much, you know, or maybe it's an instance where you don't have to use anything to isolate, such as, you know, plastic film or foil or things like that. This you can use with our 6% 20 volume for up to 2 levels of lift, our 9% 30 volume for up to 4 or 5 levels of lift, and then our our 12% or 40 volume, you can get up to 7 levels of lift with that. This also has a flexible mixing ratio, so you can use 1 scoop of powder to either 1.5 to developer or up to 2 parts developer. This again can process up to, the development time can be up to 45 minutes, but with a lightener, you always want to make sure that you're watching it and really seeing how much lift you're getting out of it as well. Now we have other products within our colors, within, you know, our BLONDME range, but when we just speak about lighteners, we always want to make sure that we're talking about toners. Every lightening service, in my opinion, should be followed up with a toner. We always want to make sure that we're refining that lift that we've created and really being intentional with our tone. And our BLONDME toners are perfect to follow up any sort of blonding with one of our BLONDME lighteners. So we have some beautiful toners, and we'll get into the color families next. But before I dive into this chart that you're seeing here, our BLONDME toners are mixed 1-to-1 with our 2% 7 volume. And they have a beautiful gel cream consistency. And they have a pH neutral formula that is ammonia free. So being that they're a gel cream consistency, you can either apply them with a bowl and brush application or with a bottle application. You have a lot of flexibility depending on how creative you're using the product itself. So now let's talk about the colors. The colors of our BLONDME toners. We have our BLONDME toners that live maybe for some lighter level blondes, but being that we want a all of our blondes, and when I say blondes, all of our clients can be some form of blonde, right? Not every client is a high level lift blonde. Some of them have a darker level blonde, and this really creates an inclusive feeling for our blondes, because anytime we're doing blonding, it doesn't always have to be a beautiful bright level 9 or 10 blonde. Sometimes those blondes live at a darker level, and in that case we can reference and use our deep toners. So you'll see those all the way on the right side of the chart, and they live at a little bit of a darker level. So these toners, they can be anywhere from level 5 up through level 7. So this is really great because there's a range, and all of our BLONDME toners live within a range. They aren't level specific, which is part of the beauty of them. So this chart, again, pause if you need to, and zoom in here or there so you can really glance at it. It will tell you where you're going to get the most intense deposit of tone at which level per shade, where they're ideal, and where they're going to be the most subtle deposit of tone. So this is really great because they aren't level specific. You can use them on a range. So some of our lighter toners, such as our Ice Iris, for example, that one all the way on the left side of the screen, that is going to get the most intense deposit of tone at a level 10 lift. It is ideal going to be on a level 9 lift, and it's going to give you the most subtle deposit of tone on a level 8. So that's how you read this chart. Again, pause if you need to, make sure you zoom in where you need to, and really dive in, because this will help you read and use your toners. You can create whatever looks you want using our BLONDME toners because they have a beautiful range. They're really great for a lot of the trends that we're seeing now with some shadowy or smoky looks, and really getting some of those icy blondes. However, you can create some really nice warm looks out of these too. So moving on to some of our other lifting tools within the BLONDME range, we have our BLONDME lifting creams. So these are going to be our high lifts in our BLONDME portfolio. So remember I talked about earlier about BLONDME being a portfolio that you can do any style of blonding service that you need. And these are part of that, is the BLONDME lifting creams. So they will give you up to 5 levels of lift, depending on whether you use 30 or 40 volume. If you're starting them on natural level basis 6 or 7, you'll want to use your 40 volume to ensure that you're getting up to those levels of lift. If you're starting on a lighter level, such as a level 8, you can use your 30 volume because you're not necessarily needing to lift that far. We have some beautiful colors within this as well. The mixing ratio for these are 1:1. Now this, again, pause if you need to because I know that you're watching this, but this is really great because it's a really easy way to read this chart. Is everything that's at the top of this is going to be the coolest, and then moving your way down into our warmer shades. So Ice Iris, for example, is going to be one of the more cool shades, or neutralizing shades, if you will, meant to be used on hair that tends to live at a darker level, such as your 6 or your 7s. Maybe even the steel blue that lives below that, again, is going to be in the cooler family if you need a little bit more neutralization. The L Ice is going to give you a nice bit of neutralization, but it's not going to be as strong as the Ice Iris or the steel blue. So moving into that, the clear, the L Clear, can be used to dilute any of the other lifting creams, or it can just give you a nice clear blonde lift. The Sand is going to give you more of that beigey, or help harmonize any of that warm underlying pigment that you'll be seeing as lift. So just think about it that way. Depending on where you're starting and what your desired end result is, this is a good guide on what to use. Some other tools we can talk about within the BLONDME range are our lift and blends. And the lift and blends have a special place in my heart, but I also think that once you know them, you love them. And once we talk about the lift and blends, once you fully understand what they're all about, we all have a client that can use the lift and blend creams. So the lift and blends are great because they can give you up to 4 levels of lift, but they're really great for that client that has salt and pepper. So how do you make a client that has salt and pepper, or that, blended gray hair, for lack of a better word, we call it salt and pepper. How do you make them all over blonde, or a somewhat blended, dimensional blonde in one tube of color with the lift and blends? So what they do, and as we move into the shade family next, we can kind of talk about this. But what they do is, say we have salt and pepper, and I'm going to use my hands to show you. So the screen will get larger as I show you this, because it'll help visualize what we're going to create. So with salt and pepper hair, you have your salt, and then you also have your pepper. So how do we bring these both into a blonde family and harmonize them? So we need to lift up our pepper, and we need to slightly deposit onto our salt a little bit, so it takes the edge off of that kind of unpigmented or white feeling, and we bring them together in this beautiful blonde harmony. That is exactly what the lift and blends do. So they lift the salt up to this nice blonde level, and then they deposit onto the salt, they lift the pepper up to this nice blonde level, and then they deposit just a little bit to blend out that salt, so everything lives together in this beautifully blended look that tends to live in this blonde family. So it really is perfect for those clients that want to be blonde and kind of all over blonde. They want a teeny bit of dimension, and you kind of need to address 2 different colors within the hair because they have that salt and pepper blend. So really great. I bet you have a client in the back of your mind that you can use these on. And as we're looking at the shade selection here, you can kind of see that the cooler tone shades are at the top, and then we work our way down into some of the warmer family shades as we look at the screen. You'll also notice, as we're working through the BLONDME portfolio, that a lot of the names are similar depending on it, if we're using a toner that's called ice, if we're using an LB ice, or maybe we have an L lifting cream ice. Like that can be fairly confusing. But the reason why we did that is because we wanted to create a harmonious portfolio where you knew what ice is, right? Ice is consistent throughout the whole line. It just lives in these different products. So a T ice is going to be your toner ice. An L ice is going to be your lifting ice, and then your LB ice is going to be your lift and blend ice. So how you can see this is on the end of the box, it will show you which is which when it comes to your ice. So just keep that in mind as you're working and learning the products. We have more highlighting creams as part of our color portfolio. So within our highlighting creams, these are really fantastic because they are meant to give you highlighting effects. So really think about them as a highlight, in a tube, or a highlighting cream in a tube. You want to really place them, mid-lengths than ends. They're not intended to be used on scalp, but the cool thing about these is they can actually work on lightly previously colored hair. So this is great to create dimension on some of our clients that have previously colored hair that's, lightly colored, or at least we know what's on there. It can work through that and create some beautiful dimension and some soft movement of color throughout that. We have 2 color choices within that. We have our Cool Rosé. So this is going to give you a slightly cooler finish or help neutralize some unwanted tone. And then we have our Warm Gold. And our Warm Gold is going to help harmonize any of that warmth that we're bringing up during the lifting process and really enhance it and make it intentional. So I would encourage you to try these. They're beautiful and they create some really lovely effects on the hair. And that wraps up our color portion of the BLONDME portfolio. Now, as BLONDME is a lock and key system that works together, we want to make sure that we're wrapping up any color service that we do with our BLONDME color products with our BLONDME Care products. So now let's talk about BLONDME Care. If you didn't hear me talk about any of the blonding color products in BLONDME, the portfolio, please reference the previous video if you'd like to hear more about those. Now we're going to talk about all of the care products. Now, all of the care products contain the bond creation aspect. So this is going to help create new bonds for any of our blonde clients and protect and maintain those bonds as well. So we have 4 segments within our BLONDME Care range. We have our All Blondes Rich. We have our All Blondes Detox system. We have our Cool Blondes Neutralizing range. And then we have our BLONDME Blonde Wonders. We have our BLONDME Blonde Wonders range. Let's dive into those a little bit more. Perfect. So in our different ranges, we have different protein complexes. So within our light range, we have our mulberry protein complex. Within our rich range, we have our cashmere protein complex. Within our detox range, we have our Nordic cotton protein complex. And then in our neutralizing range, we have our velvet flower protein complex. So each range has its own specific complex to support the care of those ranges. Let's talk a little bit more about our All Blondes or our rich range. So we have a rich shampoo, a rich conditioner, and a rich mask, along with a light spray conditioner. So depending on the needs of your client, they may need all of these products or just a couple of them. So our rich shampoo and conditioner are going to help support, reducing hair breakage up to 90%. If we include the rich mask, that can be up to 93% less breakage. So just think about how much care do they need. Maybe they are the client that wants to have a weekly mask in their shower or something like that, or maybe needs a little extra care once a week, or this is something you want to have on your back bar as an additional service or treatment. With our light spray conditioner, this gives you a beautiful, soft, detangling feeling. It can be a spray leave-in conditioner, and it can just help give you that soft feeling to blonde hair where it just is soft and shiny and movable. Getting into our next range is our All Blondes Detox range. So this is going to be a little bit more salon specific on how you use it and why you use it and who you use it on. So we have our detox shampoo, we have our detox mask, and then we have our vitamin C shot. So the detox range is really intended to remove surface impurities on the hair for clients that might have special water or specific things in the air, anything that would give a little bit of buildup onto the hair, or even product buildup. This could be a great range for. This is where you maybe want to do this in between, blonding services or before a blonding service. It's just going to remove any of those surface impurities and make the blonde that you did previously or that was there appear a little bit brighter, okay? It just brings it back to life, if you will, taking a little bit of that buildup off, whether it's product or any impurities. So how you proceed with this service is you're going to want to use your detox shampoo to really make sure that you're prepping the hair for the detox mask and treatment, vitamin C shot. Then you would take one of the packets of the vitamin C shot and you would mix it in with your detox mask. About 25 grams of that, you would apply it to the hair, and that would be your detox service. Let it sit and then rinse it off and give them a beautiful blow dry or bring that blonde back to life. Now, when we're talking about all blondes, we want to make sure that we're really talking about, and by all blondes, I mean all of our blondes, but a lot of our blondes are cool blondes. So let's talk about our neutralizing range, because this really is meant to help enhance and support our toners, especially for our cool blonde clients that really want to make sure that they're staying cool. They want to be as icy as possible, or they want to be, you know, super platinumized and, you know, silver, you know, Elsas, all of those things. We want to make sure that we're helping support those tone directions. Because as we know, when you're a beautiful, bright level blonde, if you can deposit and help neutralize tone with the use of care products, it's just going to enhance that toner and make sure that the longevity between services is being maintained. So when we're talking about our cool blondes, it is really a neutralizing range. So let the word neutralizing be your cue of the pigment that is in these products. They really are meant to neutralize any unwanted warmth that's appearing, any, you know, maybe fading that is happening on our blondes, anything like that where they need support. It's really meant to support that neutralization. So like I said, let that be your cue of how pigmented they are, and be mindful that maybe these are once a week, you know, every other shampoo, something like that, depending on the client and their needs. Use your discretion and help set them up for success by telling them how to use the products so that it can support their tone direction properly. These are beautiful, they work lovely, and they give you that support that you need, being that purple pigmented base. And it is in the shampoo, the neutralizing mask, and the neutralizing spray conditioner. So you can use all of these. You can use one of these in conjunction with some of the other care products to really make sure that you're keeping your blondes cool and neutralized. Now we move on to the Blonde Wonders Golden Mask. So this is a beautiful product. It looks beautiful in the container. It's very glitzy and glammy and glittery. So when you think golden mask, I want you to think 24 karat gold, golden child, the golden child of the BLONDME Portfolio, things like that, not gold as the color direction. This is not going to deposit gold on any of your blondes. It will not change the color or the tone of the blonde hair. It is a luxe mask that is going to help reduce breakage. It's meant to be a treatment that's very luxurious, that's meant to give you kind of that you know, gold luxury feeling. So not gold as in color deposit, gold as in the creme of the crop, the luxury of the line, the golden child mask. Like I said, it's going to be, you know, the darling of the treatments that gives you the most impact. So the cool thing, excuse me, cool is a confusing word here, but one of the really interesting and awesome things about this mask is that it starts off as a cream and then it starts to create this paste feeling as it starts to work. Remember, this has all of the bonding in it that can help support the blonde hair that needs extra bond creation, and this will reduce all of that breakage and help support those blondes up to 95%. Like I said, golden mask as the gold star treatment of our line. No color change, remember. And then as we move on, we've got a few styling products or just kind of leave-in products. And the Restoring Balm is great for blondes. As we know, a lot of blondes don't shampoo every day, but they want to style every day. So with the Restoring Balm, this can help seal that cuticle, seal any split ends that might happen, give you heat protection if used on dry hair for next day styling, or just help give you a little smooth and kind of refresh on hair that maybe needs a little bit of freshening up second day or third day. We also have our Glaze Mist. So this is going to give you up to 150% more shine. So as we know, sometimes blondes, we can't get them as shiny as we want, but with the Glaze Mist we can. So this is going to give you that UV protection. It will help give you this beautiful shine. It's really, really lovely as just kind of a top coat, almost, if you will. So to wrap up our BLONDME portfolio, I would encourage you to watch the video about the BLONDME color portion of the portfolio, and then also remember that these two go hand in hand. The BLONDME color along with the BLONDME Care create a beautiful marriage of blonde, beautiful, healthy, bonded hair color. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video today. Please check out some of our additional videos either here on YouTube or on our eAcademy or our digital family within Facebook or Instagram. You can always find us there as well. Thank you so much.